The Johnny Carson Show ran from October 1st, 1962 to May 22nd, 1992. And anyone who's ever watched can attest to the fact it was one of the most influential shows of its kind. It was practically a staple of American life, and it revolutionized the way we look at late-night television. While the show certainly has had cultural significance on many levels, it also managed to stir up a bit of controversy from time to time. From his insistent and oftentimes careless jokes to some of the more questionable elements of his personal life, Johnny Carson was far from perfect. Some of the real-life altercations and arguments with people on the show will probably surprise you, like Carson's 4 failed marriages and that one pesky guest Carson just couldn't stand. But we'll get into that in a minute. It's been nearly 3 decades since Johnny Carson sounded off for the last time, but the legacy he left behind is still felt to this day. An unhappy and needlessly cruel husband. No one can argue with the fact that Johnny Carson was a beloved television icon. But that being said, he was far from close to a saint. He was notorious for treating the people around him with disrespect and a surprising degree of cruelty. One of his most startling displays of hostility was during a time he publicly put his new wife on blast while on their honeymoon. In 1987, Carson tied the knot with Alexis Moss, his 4th wife. The freshly wed couple decided to spend their honeymoon in Italy and booked a yacht to make the best of their time. Carson apparently was in a bad mood and decided he should take his frustrations out on his new bride. He even once warned his wife they had been married only for 3 weeks, and if she were to say something disrespectful to him again, their marriage probably wouldn't last another 3 weeks. Carson could be so cruel at times that some celebs flat out refused to appear on his program. And there was Bob Hope, a star Carson would eventually consider his arch enemy. While they were always chummy with each other when the cameras were rolling, in truth, Carson couldn't stand the man. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around. In a moment, we'll cover the reasons why Johnny Carson says his 4 marriages failed. A difficult and strained relationship with his son. Carson's first marriage resulted in 3 children, all sons. His 3 other marriages didn't result in any. His son, Rick Carson, has struggled with mental health. And back in the day, mental illness wasn't the kind of thing people like to discuss in the open. Rick Carson was eventually committed to a mental hospital, but Carson straight up refused to visit him. Unfortunately, this story doesn't come with a happy ending. On June 21, 1991, Rick was driving his vehicle in Morro Bay, California, when he went off the edge of the road and plummeted 125 feet to the water below. He was killed instantaneously. Johnny ended up paying tribute to his son despite their estranged relationship on the show, but it didn't change the fact their relationship was always a turbulent one. Carson unbridled. Carson was infamous for being a heavy drinker, but he also had a pretty nasty attitude to go with it. NBC threw him an elaborate 25th anniversary party in 1987. The event was held aboard the Queen Mary, and his son Rick, who had a fairly significant drinking problem, was also in attendance. Rick got hammered, and when Johnny went to check on him, a boisterous screaming match ensued. This all went down while aboard a ship packed full of media figures, powerful network execs, and Carson's family and friends. Witnesses reported Carson most certainly was the aggressor, and noted he lost his temper first before all the yelling started. At one point, Johnny even pulled back his fist to take a swing at his son, but fortunately someone stepped in. A DUI lingered above him like a storm cloud. In 1982, Johnny was driving his DeLorean while under the influence of alcohol. He ended up pleading no contest to a misdemeanor charge, but that was the least of his worries. He ended up being placed on 3 years of probation and was ordered to attend an alcohol program for drivers. He wasn't allowed to use his vehicle for anything other than driving to and from work, and he was forbidden from driving around with people or animals in his car. He hated his mother, Ruth. In Johnny Carson's mind, there was one clear reason for all of his troubles. A person from his tangled history he routinely put blame on. He blamed his coldness and cruelty on, quote, his terrible and heartless mother, Ruth. And if he talked about his own mother using such terms, can you imagine how he spoke about his legitimate enemies? Carson laid it all out on 60 Minutes. Carson did his best to avoid the media so he wouldn't have to confront his drinking problem. But that didn't mean he was oblivious to the fact he had a problem. His experiences with alcoholism altered the way he approached the subject and how he joked about addiction on his award-winning talk show. In 1977, Carson gave a surprisingly candid and revealing interview to 60 Minutes. He admitted there was a time when he used to drink and that he didn't handle it very well. He pointed out that even though he had some wonderful times in the past drinking, most of the time he couldn't handle it. Johnny and Joanne, destined for disaster. One of Johnny's most troubled marriages was to his second wife, Joanne Copeland. She worked as a stewardess for Pan Am World Airlines, and she and Johnny went on their first date in 1960 when he was working as a game show host for the program Who Do You Trust? After they got hitched, Copeland engaged in an extramarital affair with sports figure Frank Gifford, while her husband also engaged in his own infidelities. The Carsons were married for 9 years, but that came crashing down in 1972 with a very public divorce. But even after their marriage was over, Copeland still helped preserve Johnny's TV legacy. She was still dedicated to his professional career and did her best to help him succeed. An affair for the ages. In 2013, Johnny's former lawyer, Henry Bushkin, published a tell-all memoir about him. One of the most explosive bombshells was the claim that Johnny's second wife, Joanne, had that scandalous affair with Frank Gifford. Before filing for divorce, Johnny wanted to find out for himself what his wife had been up to. So he secretly went to her apartment where she and her illicit lover had been hooking up to find evidence of their affair. Henry claims Johnny began sobbing at the very thought that his wife was cheating. He also claimed he started carrying a revolver, although he never revealed why he had the gun. He sure did get around. Like many other rich and powerful men in the entertainment industry, Carson was a notoriously abusive womanizer. While he was in the middle of dealing with the fallout of his second divorce, he was spending quite a bit of time with Playboy model Angel Tompkins. His lawyer warned him he was potentially jeopardizing any settlement that might be reached if his wife's lawyer found out about the affair. He replied with harsh expletives, signaling he couldn't care less about what Joanne found out about his lover. Now it's time to hear from you. Who was your favorite late-night talk show host between Johnny Carson and David Letterman? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.